Okay, so I'm going to try and create a pin wrench or angle grinder nut socket, pin socket, spanner, pin spanner, like this one. I think it's about 20 millimeters between the pins, and I've got an old spanner that I think I can use as a basis for it. Just going to start by trimming down this spanner to match that. So you can see here that I've used a scribe to scratch the outline that I want. This is the little scribe thing with a nice hard point on it, and that way I only have to mount the spanner in the vise and won't bend the spanner that I've already got. Okay, so that's after the angle grinder, and now I'm going to jump on the bench grinder to round those sharp edges. So my bench grinder's got a wire wheel as well, so I took the opportunity to clean up the spanner a bit as well, but that's obviously not necessary. And you can see how I've ground the end of the spanner. Let's see how it looks with the existing spanner laid over the top. Now, looks a little bit like that one of those creatures from the kids movie Ice Age. So I'll probably leave that for the shaping of the handle. Now what I'm going to do is drill some holes to insert some pins, and for that I'm going to go to my pedestal drill or bench drill, whatever you want to call it. Now to drill the holes, I'm going to make use of a automatic punch to mark the where I want the drill to start, which will make a divot. And I've also got some cutting fluid as well, and I've got a ruler to try and get the holes the right distance apart. It's obviously I don't have a way of holding the phone while I'm doing this work, so I'll jump to the next step once I've drilled the holes. So it's come out about 1 millimeter too wide, and I'm going to ponder the best way to resolve that. Not the holes aren't 1 millimeter too wide, the distance between them is about 1 millimeter too wide. So I'm actually going to go and have a look at my angle grinder as well and see if it'll accept a wrench that's 1 millimeter wider. Otherwise, I think I will try and wear down the inside of the holes using the drill, such that I can kind of push each pin across about 0.5 millimeter. Okay, so I've had a look at my various options, and I think what I'm going to do is drill the hole slightly bigger, and then try to drive these wood screws. I just happen to have a couple of them sitting on the bench. Try and work these through such that they're flush at the top. Now if they're secure, that's all I'll do, but if they're not totally secure, then I might try and zap them a little bit with my welder, my stick welder. And then of course I'm going to trim the ends off these screws and just grind them up a bit to make them fit, basically, to turn these screws into pins. Okay, let's see how it goes. Okay, so they're the screws. This is the driver I'm going to use. It's an impact driver. I'm going to put the spanner, which I've drilled out a little bit, I'm going to put it in the vise, so I only have to hold on to one thing at a time. And yeah, let's see how it goes. So the wood screws were no good. That was probably quite predictable by anyone watching the video. But I found a couple of self-tapping metal screws, and not only were they better suited to the task, they were much closer to the hole size. The self-tapping part of the screw barely had to do any work at all. And I think they feel very secure. Now I'm just going to check the measurement and the fit on the angle grinder. So check on the cap. Let's have a look at the measurement. As I said at the start, I thought that the pins needed to be about 20 mil apart, and you can see that they're a bit over. Excuse my tremor. But let's have a look at the angle grinder, see how well it fits. Almost in. I might do something quite technical now, involving this instrument, or these two things together, and see if I can get those pins a bit closer together in a sec. Yeah, so that hammer is now able to make the pins fit perfectly, and I'll probably only grind down those screws or shorten them or whatever if I have to. Let's see if I can remove this nut now. Yep. So that worked. So by definition, I guess, I have a working angle grinder spanner. So a success. Good luck to anyone else having a go at that.